Welcome to the WP SEO Show, brought to you by SEO Hive, your proactive white label SEO partner. The WP SEO Show is all about talking WordPress and SEO, from optimizations, structures, setups, and plugins. We explore how to make your WordPress website perform better in the search engines. Here are your hosts, Pete Everett and Jeff Patch.
Hello and welcome to the WP SEO Show. I am your co-host, Jeff, joined here by my co-host, Pete. Well, I almost called Jeff, but hey, Pete, how are you doing? And quick question, are you ready for some drama?
Oh, I love a bit of drama. Love a bit of drama. Not being in the drama so much, but sitting on the sideline with the popcorn, just popping it back there. Cold beverage. That's, yeah. Oh, I love a bit of drama.
That's like one of my online challenges to see how many of those animated GIFs of people eating popcorn I can post in various groups and posts and everything like that. Like whenever there's drama, I'm like, look, I don't want to make it any worse, but I'm going to witness it. I want to sit here. I want to experience every second of it.
And you want to leave a comment, because that way you get notified of the other comments. So if the stuff really does hit the fan, you're like, yeah, now I've not got the fake popcorn. Now I'm really into the good stuff.
Yeah. Now I'm literally actually going to my kitchen, finding a bag of microwave Jiffy Pop and throwing it in the microwave. No, but in all seriousness, I mean, I don't want to recap everything, because it's been beaten to death already. But there has been so much drama in the whole WordPress. I don't want to say community, but ecosystem. I don't know, world. I don't know what the best term is here, but it has been a little overwhelming. And at first, I've kind of just been like, it's cool. We're just gonna kind of just ignore it, let it pass. And I mean, I don't want to add anything to it. But I think honestly, at this point, we've got to talk about it. If anything, just to kind of go over what we're seeing or playing. I don't know. You know what I mean? There's so much to talk about here.
There is. And for full transparency for everybody here, we've agonized over whether this is a good thing to do to record this show. We've, normally when we pick, we have a list of topic ideas. We sort of bounce some ideas around what would make good episodes, what wouldn't. This one, like you just said, we feel like we should talk about it, not in a derogatory way. We don't want to get into the weeds of who did what to who. That's a very Yorkshire expression for everybody that's not in England. But on the same note, we want to acknowledge it, because it does feel like there's a shift going on at the moment, for whatever reason it started. And it's creating uncertainty throughout the industry. And that's something that we need to acknowledge.
Yep. I mean, I guess we should probably do the TLDR real fast. And if you haven't heard anything, for some reason you've been living under a rock lately, WordPress and founder Matt Mullenweg not happy with WP Engine, a hosting company. That's all. I'll get into it, because I don't, I understand what's going on, but you know what I mean? It's just, okay, so they're not happy. And they've basically blocked them from the WP plugin repository, which seems really kind of gross, kind of inappropriate. But again, like I said, not an expert, not a lawyer on this stuff. But then to take it a step further, they literally took over, I don't know what the best term is here, but I almost want to say stole advanced custom fields. They rebranded it and hijacked it essentially in the repository. At the end of the day, is anything going to change? Probably not, but it just feels really bad. And it's like one of those first red flags that you start seeing when you're working with a company or an industry or whatever, and you go, ooh, that's not good. What's next? What's next? Because if it can happen to them, it can happen to anybody. And I should have looked at the numbers, but what would you say? Tens of thousands of plugins in a repository, probably.
Oh, I mean, there's hundreds of thousands. Yeah,
there's so many. So this is probably just a drop in the hat, but at the same time, it could be anybody. It's kind of scary.
Absolutely, it's there's 60,000 free plugins in the WordPress repository. And just as we say, we're staying completely side agnostic here. So, Matt, if you're listening to this, none of this is about you. And WP Engine, if you're listening to this, none of this is about you either. Although between the two of you, you have given us a decent show to watch and to and to comment on here. But I should also just clarify what you said about Automatic taking over, in brackets, in quotes, advanced custom fields. It was the free version of ACF that was in the WordPress repo. They haven't taken over ACF Pro or any of WP Engine's direct paying customers. And I think the other thing you've got to say is that WP Engine have been quite intelligent. WP Engine's communications. I do have a WP Engine account. I don't personally host sites with there, but I do have some clients that are on there and have access to it, and have therefore been receiving some of their emails. And they've very much been playing it down that it's not an issue and things will be taken care of and this, that, and the other. And I believe they've managed to find a way of forking the WordPress repo using a series of VPNs in such a way that's going to make it hard for Automatic to try and shut it down. And you can now update plugins again through WP Engine, but it all feels a bit like a sort of like a sticking plaster on over a severe wound. It's it doesn't inspire confidence. Let me put it that way. That it's a stable solution that can run for the long term.
Yeah, and given where we are in a situation right now, I don't have a problem with WP Engine, and I think they're doing what they need to do. You know what I mean? They're just, because they've got customers and they've got to keep supporting them, and I don't think there's going to be any real issues there. It's going to become this chasm, between the two of them, and trying to figure out, well, who's right, who's wrong, and how are we going to go about it? Well, WP Engine is going to take care of their customers. Not going to be any big problem there. Like you said, they've already figured out how to, keep the updates going, and they'll continue maintaining the plugins. But it's going to start causing conversations with clients that I don't think need to happen, because it's things that they don't even need to worry about. Yet here we are, right? So, like, because of this drama, now we have to have these talks. And I've had emails from clients, and they're like going, "Hey, should we leave WP Engine because now it's not secure?" And it's like, well, it's secure. I mean, yeah, there might be a security issue right now that has been raised with the plugin, and there's it's a mess, but you're not at any risk. Everything is fine, and we've got everything taken care of. But we've had to have this conversation, and then they're going to start going, well, why are we even using this? Why are we using WordPress? Why are we, and what was we saw it in on Facebook yesterday. Somebody lost a $40,000 contract, because of this. And it's like, it would have been fine either way, but the drama doesn't help the business.
Well, and that's kind of we were saying this just before the call. That's one of the great things about WordPress is the WordPress community. And ultimately, from Matt's side of things and the information he shared, that's really what's driving the issue with WP Engine, that in his view, they are profiteering too much and not contributing enough back to warrant using the WordPress trademark. On the flip side, though, something like this happens. And one of the worst things about WordPress is the goldfish bowl of the community that can whip up a storm and create fear and create, all of this anxiety and angst, and actually blow things out of proportion within itself. Then you flip the coin to end clients, end users that aren't necessarily developers, don't really know what this is about. They don't really know what open source software is. They don't have to care about why this stuff works.
But they might not even know what WordPress is. They might just work with you and say, cool, I trust you. You build my website. Thank you.
Absolutely. But then all of a sudden there's this PR thing that happens, and they just hear something negative about WordPress, and all of a sudden that's enough to give them cold feet about using it, or about placing that new project that you were just thinking about. And who's the real loser in that? Well, to a certain extent it's the end client, but it's also the developers that are involved in this sandwich between they kind of know what's going on and should hopefully know that it's going to be all right, but clients that don't want to use it because they've heard something bad. And you're in this weird kind of love triangle thing where you're always going to be that bottom piece of the funnel. Yeah. And that's where ultimately the people we know, the agencies we work with, maybe some of you guys listening to this show, become kind of the collateral damage in this. And that's really what's quite sad.
Yeah. I will say a little bit, this has kind of opened my eyes to maybe my imbalance within the community or the ecosystem, whatever, because there's really stemmed from the complaint that WP Engine doesn't contribute. And I I've never contributed to WordPress core. I've contributed to multiple plugins and themes over the years, but most of them have probably been premium ones actually. So I've worked directly with the developers to kind of go, hey, here's a bug, here I found, and here's how to fix it or whatever. But like, you'll never see my name in any of the WordPress, core dev logs or anything like that, even though I would be honored to have done that. So I guess I have to step back and go, well, am I doing my part in the community? And I'm just asking, I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. And it definitely kind of helps us understand that there's two sides of WordPress and other things like this too, where there's people that are building businesses off of this. I mean, thanks to WordPress, I can support my family, keep a roof over our head, have this podcast and, support hundreds of small business clients through the work that we do. And that's very rewarding and it feels very good. But that's also pretty much strictly, selfishly beneficial. I'm not helping the community in that side. We're helping quite a bit of, clients and small businesses and people. So I don't know, I guess, it's kind of a big, it's a big thing.
It's a huge thing. And it then also flips back to, well, what's the ethos? What's the etiquette of something if you launch a thing as open source? I mean, should you really launch something in that manner if you're really expecting something back in return? I mean, is that written into any contract anywhere? It's never been written. Now, I'll be perfectly honest and say I haven't read the WordPress.org terms and conditions from start to finish. However, on the same note, is it something that you can really impose on people to, if you're launching something in an open source kind of manner? That's the nature of open source. Is it's open source. You can take it and do with it what you will. That's how it develops. So yeah, it's all just throwing so many questions up in the air about authenticity, integrity, expectation. It's just untrue. And 2 weeks ago, well, when was WordCamp US? 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? This wasn't even a thing.
Yeah, it's only been a couple weeks. It's only been a couple weeks, and it feels like it's just completely derailed the industry. Although, to be fair, also almost nothing has really changed. I mean, at the end of the day, nothing has truly, really changed other than the kind of couple things with ACF and WP Engine. But as far as, like you and I and people listening to this and, our customers going, nothing's really changed day to day. I don't know if it will at the end of the day, but it definitely is making me lose a little bit of sleep, Yeah.
And that's kind of why we wanted to record this show, because there was a part of this was the overarching feeling. I'm talking for myself here. I don't want to talk for you, mate, but the overarching feeling I had as we were talking about whether we should or shouldn't do this was basically to say, we don't have any of the answers, but we have discussed what we are or not going to do about this, which we'll get onto in a second. But what we did want to do was just put ourselves out there. We both own agencies alongside SEO Hive, and we are in this boat with you. So, we are part of the problem and the solution, and we are collateral damage alongside you, dear listener, just as you are, to WordPress, to Automatic, or to WP Engine. So, however you feel about this, whether you've got a strong feeling one way or the other, or whether you're completely agnostic and just want to close your eyes off to it, we're in that boat with you as well. And that was kind of really why I thought, yeah, we should actually record something about this, even if we're not going to give an opinion one way or the other.
Yeah. And, so now we're kind of sitting at this stage where we're going, well, we got to sit back and wait and see how things, play out, shake out stuff, see who's going to do what, if anything. But what I kind of keep telling myself is that this is only reinforcing how important it is to be diverse in your business. And I want to say in your agency, but I think that goes beyond just having an agency, right? And these could probably be applied to your clients as well. And like I said, I love WordPress. I've literally been on the WordPress train since Matt started it. I mean, Matt and I used to chat on forums back in the day before it was called WordPress, and it has gone to places that I never expected. You know what I mean? Over these years, and I love it. It's still what I think is the best platform out there, the best tool out there for most jobs. If I'm going to build a website, we're probably using WordPress. But it's also reinforcing that at this day and age, WordPress is not the only solution out there. And I say this is the WP SEO show. Obviously, we're WordPress evangelists. You know what I mean? Like, we're huge fans. But if there's a client that says, "Hey, we've got a one service and we need a booking form, a contact form, and a small page," we're getting to the point where now we're going to start asking questions: is if WordPress is even the best fit for that? Because it might be a $20 a month Squarespace site. That might be fine, and you're just going to avoid all this drama. Do you own the software? Do you own your website exactly? Not quite, not fully. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I mean, how hard is it to export a couple pages of content and move to something else if you decide to in the future? It's not a big deal. So these kind of issues, this drama, these questions, it's I can see it already going to start steering people away. And we've had through some of our white label partnerships, we've had multiple people this month, and I have no idea if it's connected. Multiple clients go, "Hey, we're taking things in house and moving to sites like Squarespace." And I truly don't know if it has anything to do with this. It's out of my kind of control or ability to consult with those clients, but it's happening, and I'm just going to kind of be prepared for it, because it's not the end of the world. It's just a matter of kind of feeling comfortable doing a little bit different things than you were doing before.
Well, and I think that's kind of coming back to where, as an agency owner, where I think we should be heading right now, which is, at the end of the day, you can only control the bits you can control. And we can't control WordPress. We can't control Automatic. We can't control WP Engine. What we can control, however, is the way we approach things for our clients. And as an agency, I've been on this soapbox a few times on this show. As an agency owner, I passionately believe that actually we shouldn't be businesses that have like a one size fits all model. If the purpose of your agency is simply to get people on maintenance plans, so you're just going to bash out any kind of WordPress website in order to sell the maintenance plan, then actually that's not really a great model for your business. It might work out financially in terms of your recurring revenue ultimately, but you're kind of missing the point as to why businesses are paying you for the website in the first place. Any spend that a client spends with you or me as a digital agency owner is an investment from that client in their own business. And what they really need is the right solution for them. And beforehand, I wouldn't even consider whether WordPress would or wouldn't be the right solution, because you can do so much with it that actually it's the framework that you hang the right thing on. But you're dead right. Now you get into the point of thinking, well, actually, you're bringing that into question. Should WordPress be the right thing for this? Or you're right, would a Shopify site be better? Would a Wix site be better? Would a Squarespace site be better for that particular client with that particular need? And it's so coming back to what I will be doing and what I would advocate we all did is actually just keep on focusing on what's right for the client. Obviously, you have to make money. Obviously, you want to build services on recurring revenue. That's exactly why we have SEO Hive. It's entirely there to help you build recurring revenue. But actually, we only want to serve clients where that is the right thing for the client, and therefore it's the right thing for the agency, and therefore it's the right thing for us to help you deliver. And I think that's what I'll be doing, is just focusing down on my clients.
Yeah, it's fantastic to have recurring revenue. It's fantastic to have care plans or a maintenance plan, whatever you want to call it, whatever's in that scope. And you can still do that with other platforms. I'm not saying people should be switching away from WordPress. I'm just, kind of hypothetically speaking here, right? Like if it comes up, and we've got, even though WordPress is our bread and butter, I mean, the vast majority of our clients all use WordPress. We still have care plans for clients on Shopify, for clients on Squarespace. I don't think we have any on Wix right now, but we have. And it's, you're losing the technical stuff that you're helping. So in a sense, it's not quite as valuable, but at the same time, we're still being their concierge. We're updating things for them. We're changing their content. We're their web guy or web people. With WordPress, you're doing a lot of things like managing the hosting and the plugins and the things, and when it comes down to a powerful site, yeah, I still want WordPress. But if it's a basic site, maybe that's overkill. And just look at the best fit, I love WooCommerce, but yeah, when we're consulting with a new client about an e-commerce store, let's figure out their needs and figure out Shopify might be the better fit. It just might. It's different. There isn't, one size fits all. And we could even kind of backtrack that all the way down to WordPress tools like page builders. Everybody has their favorite page builder they insist is the best, and it does this and that.
Yeah.
I've used them. I admit I haven't used Bricks, but I've used all the other ones. They're all the same, like 99% the same. Okay. If you can use one, you can use the other. If you can build a WordPress site, you could build a site on any other platform out there. So I guess I'm just trying to inspire people to at least feel comfortable pivoting if they need to, or, seeking out new solutions, or just like you said, figuring out what the best solution for their client is, because it isn't always going to be for example, a WordPress Divi site or Elementor done this so the client can update everything. They're not going to want to, we've been there before.
So here's a question. This is maybe going a bit further than we anticipated this episode to go. But like, one of the last decisive things that happened with WordPress was the development of the block editor. And alongside it, the development of the classic editor plugin, which is still, I believe, at the time of recording, the most downloaded and installed plugin on the WordPress repository.
Well, that's just because there's so many old sites people don't want to bring up to date.
Well, maybe, but still, it was one of the most decisive things of recent times. So, I mean, if you then apply that to this situation, what could this mean for WordPress? Could this mean, look, in groups like the admin bar, I can't count how many times I've seen posts in the last 10 days or so about, oh, well, maybe we should fork WordPress. I mean, frankly, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
That's no criticism against anybody that suggested it or anybody that's thought it, maybe even some people that have done it. But the amount of support and issues and security fixes, and look, this has been an open source platform for 2 decades, if not longer, and there's developers worldwide working on this to patch it up when it needs it. One man or one group of people taking on their own version, particularly, I mean, this could be a hacker's dream. Just identifying WordPress sites with random version numbers because they've been forked and trying to apply.
No, thank you.
No.
There's already plenty of forked versions out there too. I believe Classic Press is a version. I'm not too familiar with them because they just don't interest me for those same exact reasons. It's like it's certainly possible for them to be upkept and everything like that, but that is just such a daunting, one-sided thing. I can't. I'm literally sweating just thinking about even like being part of a project like that.
I mean, the real problem you've got is it's firstly about the amount of work, but secondly, it's about the thankless, unpaid task of having to keep that thing up to date. Because the minute you have production sites live with your forked version of WordPress in there, you're kind of duty bound to keep that thing up to date for the rest of eternity. It's not a mantle I would want to take on, and certainly not one I would encourage others to. If you see it differently from me, that's absolutely fine. Like we say, this is all about just us shooting the breeze about the things that are going around in our head about this hashtag WP drama.
Yeah. And we're all going to have kind of different perspectives on it too. Like, forking it and doing that is a perfectly valid thing to help continue to kind of grow the WordPress ecosystem and all that community. But it doesn't really make sense for professional use. And of course, now we're going back to, or should we be banking on using WordPress for professional stuff? And, I don't know if that's the gist that the Automatic wants to put out there, but at the end of the day, there are countless people that have made WordPress their focus, their business, their specialty. I mean, I'm surprised you can't major in WordPress in college yet. I mean, probably next year, maybe your next decade or so, I'll be like a college degree, but it's huge. People do it for business. So we have to, and you and we have to have these talks from a business standpoint because our livelihoods depend on it. And many, many other people below us, their livelihoods depend on it. So, it's important. And I think we're both pretty impassioned by it. We're both a little burnt out by it, and also optimistically positive, I think, still, because even though this stuff is happening, the fact that it's happening and so many people are passionate about it shows you that the basis is there, and people are going to keep this going and whatnot. But things will probably change a bit. We'll see some change.
Yeah, we will. And I think that's really what's going to be the interesting part of this. Whilst we do like sitting here with the popcorn and watching the drama unfold, the thing that's going to be really interesting is, like, we've already seen certain plugins removing themselves from the WordPress repo, just through fear that their plugin may be taken and duplicated, and Automatic do with it what they want. What's going to be really interesting, though, is how this then plays out over the next few months. Because a solution, there was obviously a big fallout that was news. The solution won't be big news like that. The solution will appear slowly over a period of time, maybe as some very small steps, and the world will move on, and there will be a new equilibrium with things. And it's going to be interesting then to see how that plays out in terms of leadership at Automatic, in terms of what this has potentially done to the WordPress and WP Engine brands themselves, because ultimately this was about trying to protect brand identity. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what that new equilibrium is, as I say, that new kind of balance that we all get to. Right now, I probably wouldn't go and sign up to a new WP Engine account just in case. If you're considering your new next hosting options, I'd probably scratch them off the list for a few months. That's not to say anything bad about WP Engine, as I say, but just there's an uncertainty there. But you could say that about any host.
Sure. It could happen to anybody tomorrow. And the fact that WordPress is still promoting Bluehost all over the place. Sorry, but don't like Bluehost.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, seriously, I mean, all of my own client hosting is managed through Cloudways. What if they take an issue with Cloudways and block any server in their IP address out of the repo? It could happen to any of us. So unless you have something that is a direct effect of this, right now I'd just be plowing on. Focus on your business. Focus on your clients' businesses, particularly because your client's success will reflect in your success. And just keep on keeping on, but maybe just with that caveat of, when you're looking for the right thing for your client, maybe add a question mark next to WordPress as well.
Yeah, maybe. And you mentioned you probably wouldn't sign up for WP Engine right now, and I do agree with that. But it's less about this situation, and more so that I just think that their pricing is a little too much for what it is. I think it's kind of unfortunate that I can't recommend them right now, given everything, but they were the hosting company that I still continued up until weeks ago. I don't know why I looked at my watch to see what the date was, but up until very recently, that I still recommended when people wanted to manage their website and their hosting themselves, just because I know that they're really up on security. Their technical support is very good, but their pricing is the same as our managed hosting and maintenance plans. So I don't know why you wouldn't, you could pay somebody to literally be in charge of your website for the same price. So it doesn't really make sense. But I know people that they want to manage it themselves and feel comfortable doing it. And I said, well, they're the ones you got to go to. But now I don't, and it's not a reflection on them. It's just a situation that's tough to do that. So that's kind of unfortunate. But I had a conversation the other day where I said, what, there's this cycle that I've seen going long enough. And so I say this now whenever we're going, hey, yeah, cool, let's try this new hosting company. Give them about 3 to 5 years before it's time to move on to another one. And I've been doing this for like 20 years now, and that has held steady. I think Cloudways is probably the longest we've kept people at, for probably going about 5 years now. And and it's starting to get towards the end of that cycle. So
yeah, I know. I sometimes try and peek my head over to see whether the grass would be greener somewhere else. And I know there's plenty of other hosting companies out there. Please don't message in and say, oh, you should try XYZ. I know they're there, but the setup that I have with all the dedicated stuff and then the shared stuff that I have it would take like weeks of work to move from one to another. So well, you've had a little insight into the number of sites. I think there's 138 applications I've got in my Cloudways account across a whole range of servers. I can't realistically move in all of those, really, and then repointing all that DNS. I've got better things to do with life. something would really have to go wrong for me to need to put that time and effort kind of in. So
yeah, you'd have to have a lot of cost savings really to do that. And to be fair, we've worked with many of agencies I don't want to say taking sites away, but they've come to us with, hey, we're at WP Engine with, 200 websites, and it is costing us a buttload of money to try to cover all of these. And the whole process has been, how do we migrate them at an affordable rate? And when you look at other prices, it makes really good sense to do that sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if
I do have a
Cloudways moving away from there, I'm not going to save any money. So
no, I do have a client that's on WP Engine. They renewed the week before WordCamp US, and they pay annually. So they contacted me when this they had this really weird, like, they're a client, they're an architect's business, they don't keep up to date with all these WordPress stuff, and they had then this email from WP Engine sort of alerting them to the fact. Now, in fairness to WP Engine's email, like I said earlier, it was massively playing down what was going on, but for somebody that didn't know anything about what was going on, it was like them sticking a big red flag up and saying, yo, we got a problem, dude. So the client gets in touch with me to ask, well, we know you don't host with WP Engine. Where would you recommend? And that's when one of their team went and said, yeah, we've just paid like $1,800 for a year's worth of hosting, so we're not gonna be going anywhere anytime soon.
They'll be fine. It'll work fine.
That's what I said to them. But
yeah, I mean, even as of right now, we've just had to go through and install basically the direct version of advanced custom fields, free or pro, from ACF. And now everything's fine. I mean, everything is going to just keep ticking forward as it was, a couple weeks ago. No big deal. But hey, we got a lot of info to talk about on this podcast. What's that? Sorry.
Absolutely. Well, I'm quite fortunate. So I have an LTD of advanced custom fields from Elliot. Well, yeah, there you go. So
what was it, like $35 like 10 years ago or something?
Right, yeah, it was ridiculous. I dread to think how much it would cost me now to have the number of sites on ACF that I do. But thankfully, because of the way this is all rolled out, anybody that has an ACF Pro account on their WordPress installs, they still get the updates direct from WP Engine. So it's only the free version, as I said earlier, that's been changed. So thankfully that sort of hasn't affected me, because every site, because it's an LTD, unlimited sites, they've all got ACF Pro.
Yeah, that's been really convenient. Most of ours are on there, but we have a few for some reason just have the free plugin that is installed years ago, and it's just been ticking. So we just replaced it with the same free one, but from ACF directly, and apparently that will bypass the update issues and everything. So everything's fine. But yeah, like we said, it's I don't know. Red flags, maybe not. We'll see. But it certainly is. It's a little unsettling. It's not what I wanted to kind of have on our plate at the end of the year here as we're winding things down for 2024. But hey, it's entertainment.
There will have to be some kind of resolution put in place, and it's going to be interesting to see who's going to sort of pull their pants up and be the grown up and the professional in all of this. I think that's the thing that's really sad about all of this, is that it just makes the whole thing feel and look a bit juvenile. Where okay, we don't all want to be stuffy business people. Alan Sugar, Lord Sugar, with his tie on and his Rolls Royce and his helicopters and his private jets. We're not all want to be that kind of business person. But on the same note, like we've said, businesses, people's livelihoods depend on this. There's a responsibility when it comes to this stuff. And the problem is the whole WordPress community is being tainted a little bit by just being kids in the playground. And I hate that.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. That's great community. But, there's always, I was going to say weak links. That's not what I'm trying to say. But, there's always any group of people, you're going to find someone that you don't get along with, or that doesn't agree with you, or isn't a team player. I'm not saying anybody in particular is that right here, but when you have a group of this size, it's actually pretty mind-blowing it's gone as well as it has until this point. Really, actually, if you think about it, it's taken this long for major drama, I suppose. Like, if the biggest thing was the block editor drama a couple years ago, then I guess we've been doing pretty good.
Yeah. Well, and that unfortunately, that's really what taints this this a little bit, because I'm really not going to get into specifics here, but we do know that there have been kind of personal accusations about, or personal comments about, who the hell do you think you are, and this kind of thing. And actually, you know what, we are a community. We're all should be equals in it to a certain extent, and if you take everybody as an equal, when you've got a group of people that are big enough, it means that those people that are on the extremes, let's call them, the extreme annoyances versus the extreme kind of over the tops, if everybody's equal and the group's big enough, that level sort of averages out, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And everybody can still be included. Whereas the problem you've got the minute that you start acting at the extremes is that the vast majority of people in the middle that would create the average, all of a sudden they don't count for much. And that's where it really becomes, that's quite a philanthropic thing to say. I don't know where that came from.
It was pretty deep. I'm
Yeah.
impressed. I don't even think I can follow up with anything, Pete. I think that's just the mic drop.
Mic drop. Yeah.
End of the conversation. No, I don't know. We can still talk, but
I've got to
all
use
I gotta say.
I've got to use my my clever credits up at some point this year. So
There you go. I need to stock up on some of those.
Hey, there'll be some coming around in a Black Friday deal in a few months. So don't worry about it.
All right, Black Friday, my favorite holiday.
Wait, Black Friday's a holiday? I thought it was the day after Thanksgiving. Well, Thanksgiving was the holiday.
Oh, I thought we were giving thanks to the purchasing we're about to do on Friday.
Oh, really?
That's
have the day off to mentally prepare yourself for all of the money you're going to spend on crap that you're only going to use once on Black Friday.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff I think I'm going to give to everybody for Christmas and just keep for myself because I forgot where I put it.
I'd love to think that all of these people, right now we're going off piste, but all of these people that go like, yeah, I don't spend any money on Black Friday, I'd like them to look in places like their Amazon account and even eBay or supermarkets or wherever, and say, you know what, I've never bought a single thing because there wasn't a deal, like a Prime. Do you have Prime Days over there? We have Prime Days in the UK.
Yeah, they're like every other month now. I don't understand why they're so frequent.
So it used to be Amazon's thing for Black Friday in the middle of the year, so it was detached from Black Friday. So if you've never bought anything, and you can genuinely hand on heart say that you've never taken anybody up on an offer, then fine. Feel free to judge people that spend money on Black Friday. But unless you've bought everything in your life at full price, if people want to spend money on Black Friday, let people spend money on Black Friday. I don't go out and... The thing I would say is I've never bought anything as a Black Friday sale that I wouldn't have bought anyway. I might have bought it on Black Friday because there was a better deal. Absolutely. But I would have bought it anyway.
I think that I can agree with that, but I'm not 100%. I'm like, no, I'm a sucker for a deal. I might have bought a few things that I probably shouldn't have, but I will say I've gotten a lot better about it in the last couple of years. I've just been like, nah, I'm good. When we were younger, my old roommate and I, we were, tech computer guys before it was popular to, get hard drives at like Target and stuff. And we would wait outside of Best Buy all night long so we could get a hard drive for like half the price, or a video card for like half price, And it's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, all right. I
now it's like 10% discount. What's the point? You just do it online, but
I can't compete with that level of geekery. No.
Well, they'd only have like 5 too. So you'd wait outside all night long. And if you were like 6th in line, you didn't get anything. It was terrible.
Oh, so we used to have these computer fairs. Do you have computer fairs in the US?
I imagine we probably do, but I have not been to one for at least 20 years.
Yeah.
But that was like my high school business, like building computers for people.
Right, yeah. So I've been to one in Sheffield where I live now, and I've lived here for 22 years. So yeah, probably similar kind of time. But when I was a teenager, similar thing. We'd go and build our own PCs and just play around with stuff and make it work and save up your pocket money or whatever to get your new RAM or your graphics card or whatever it was. And we did it all through computer fairs because that's where stuff was the cheapest. And it's just not the same now. Both my kids, I've gaming PCs, which I had to come to you for advice for because I've only used Macs for like the last 17 or 18 years. And we found them online. We did customize them a little bit, but the customization was done on a website. When it arrived here, it was all in a shiny box with builder's foam in it that I had to take out and all this kind of stuff. And it was great. It was a lovely experience. You know, don't get me wrong. The customer satisfaction was great, but actually it wasn't the experience of building these things and then it working and getting frustrated, then realizing you didn't have the right connector cables, or realizing that all of a sudden you couldn't run even though the motherboard had 4 SATA connectors on it, it would only ever take an input from 2, and all of that.
Like there's like a little jumper pin somewhere you got to switch to make it all work. It's just, I know, I missed that too. It was so fun.
Oh, it was just like, and I'm sure that, you know, I'm quite a logical, problem-solving kind of person. So much so it annoys my wife. You know, she just wants to talk about something, and I'm instantly trying to fix it because that's the way I'm wired. But I'm sure that a whole load of that comes from that period of my life where it was, you know, I'm not gonna. I want to figure this stuff out. I'm having fun. If I'm not going to kill anybody, you know, I might electrocute myself once or twice, but I'm not going to kill anybody. And it helped me learn. And my kids now, how do they do it? They ask Dad to do it because Dad fixes everything.
Yeah. I mean, my kids are super comfortable with technology. They're really smart with all that. But there's this point that people don't go beyond anymore when it comes to figuring out technology or playing with things, because you don't have to as much, you know. Maybe even been like 6 years ago. I'm looking down at my computer here, but this was the first PC I had in almost 20 years because I became a Mac guy doing video editing and, you know, working in production and stuff for so long. I still love Macs, but I needed a beefy PC and I kind of want to do some gaming stuff too. And I managed to put this thing together for like $600 and I had so much fun doing it, and it's still kicking. You know, it's got a good video card. It's probably not the best gaming PC by any means, but I don't really game on it. But that was just such a fun thing. And it brought me right back to like 25 years ago, being a kid and building computers, and then, you know, circling back to the whole WordPress thing. That was what got me into WordPress, was playing with it and taking it apart and figuring out how to hack it and do fun things. And, you know, before any of the stuff, the tools that we use day in, day out professionally were available, people like you and I, and I'm sure 90% of our listeners just goofed around with it until they like mastered it, you know, and that's just such a fun thing that people aren't doing as much anymore these days, but I encourage you to. It's fun.
Yeah. But today, like literally 4 hours ago, my son came home from school, emptied this little plastic bag of bits from that he'd been carrying around in his bag all day from his bag on my desk and said, "Dad, my watch is broken." I mean, there was only like 7 bits in it. I'm like, dude, just put it back together. I don't know what I'm doing. And he walked out the door. If you're watching the video, he walked out that door just over there, leaving all this crap on my desk. So I ended up fixing it just to clear my desk up. It's like, what?
Well, anyway. You took all those watch building classes, right? Back in the day.
Yeah, that's right. All of them. I mean, the thing, he actually got a new watch. We're going to wind this up in a sec. He got a new watch a few months ago because he lost his other one. That's very like him. And it's not, for that reason, we don't buy him an expensive watch. It's like £9 from somewhere. But he wanted an analog watch. So his watch doesn't have a light on it. It glows in the dark, but it doesn't have a light on it. It's literally, you know, an analog face with a winder on the side. And the back had come off. He'd been taking it off in PE, and the back had come off, and the like little motor and stuff had just come out from inside. And it's like, well, you just put it back together in the right order. It's not, you know, and if you get it wrong, if you've got it in the wrong order, then you just take the bits again and try again. Yeah. It's like, there's only 6 or 7 pieces here. There's only so many ways they can go together. And guess what? The back is always going to be the last bit to go on. So I've made 6 into 5.
Oh, if my dad were here, he would tell you stories about how I did similar things with his work computer when I was about 13 years old. So taking things and putting them back together is fun.
Yeah. Absolutely. Anyway,
at least for me and you, apparently. I guess not your son and probably plenty of other people. So sorry if we've triggered anybody who doesn't like taking things apart and putting them back together.
He just wants to play Fortnite. That's the thing. He just wanted to get home and play Fortnite.
Fair enough. So,
well, dear listener, I I was going to say, I hope you found this episode interesting. I do hope you found this episode interesting, genuinely. But I hope the interest you found is more that, you're not alone. If you're worried about any of this stuff or it's becoming overwhelming, exactly like you said, Jeff, you're not alone. Me and JP are in the same boat with you, and we're feeling your pain.
Yeah. It's I know we got a little off track here, but this isn't the most tip fueled episode or anything. But yeah, I think just ride this out, and I've been saying this for a long time, but feel comfortable trying new things and using new things. I'm not saying let's ditch WordPress by any means, but it may not always be the ideal tool for your job. So, you know what I mean? Just feel comfortable. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, I mean, moving forward, we're going to see how this goes. I know at SEO Hive, we're still huge WP WordPress aficionados, and we still support it and promote it and everything like that. And we'll continue to support it. But also, as a reminder, we have always and will continue to work on pretty much any type of website you can bring to us. So if we can log into it, we're good. So
that's basically our criteria. You nailed it right there. We ain't doing raw HTML. If you're still building stuff in source code, you can go somewhere else. But if you can log into it, let us know. We'll be good. All right. Well, look, it's been fun. We have hopefully gone into some good stuff as well as some random detail about children and watches and computers and that kind of stuff. But it's always fun. And if anybody's, we said, let's close on this note. We said right at the start that we started this podcast because we used to have these chats. And at some point we thought we maybe should start recording these. And that's where the podcast came from. Today, you've experienced what our chats are like.
Yeah.
That's basically it, right? Cool. Well, look, if we can help you out, hello@seohive.co. You can find us there. seohive.co is the website. And otherwise, we'll see you in the next episode. Have a good week, everyone.
Cheers.
The WP SEO Show is brought to you by SEO Hive, your agency's proactive white label SEO partner. We understand that finding a reliable SEO supplier is key to ensuring you build stable monthly recurring revenue into your digital agency. At SEO Hive, we have a suite of products that will help you sell, scale and deliver your monthly SEO retainers, from our scout reports and one-off technical boosters, to our flagship local SEO and honeypot plans, all of which have clear pricing and monthly deliverables. If you want to explore how SEO Hive can help your agency deliver high-quality and reliable SEO agreements for your clients, you can find more information at seohive.co and schedule a call to discuss the next steps.